şekilde yapabiliriz. Yani İngilizce'de
Bu
konuşabiliriz. Yani.
linki göstermemem lazım değil mi? Saklamam lazım.
Evet, sadece
Yani
şeydeki alanı
giremezler
verirseniz
zaten muhtemelen.
iyi olur. Crop yaparsanız çok güzel olur.
Dur. Ben onu saklayacağım. Dur, problem yok. Hemen.
Tamam.
Bir dakika. Ne diyecektim? Neyse peki. Okay. For everybody, these are I'm now talking to a bunch of science bloggers, right? And
Science
scientists
communication, yeah.
and science communicators that are talking about the situation on the ground. Hold on, I'm gonna change over my scene in one moment, really quick. I'm trying to do this real-time production here. It's always hard. Oh, you know what? I'll put this right here. And that'll block it. Perfect. Okay. Okay. All right. What's up? What's up, everybody?
Hi, everyone.
I don't know what you guys wanted to talk to me about specifically, but you know, we've been actively covering the situation on the ground, and you know, anywhere and any way that we can help, we're trying to, from, you know, out here in the United States. You guys are Turkish, you know this already. It is very difficult to fundraise for Turkish charities, non-government organizations specifically, unfortunately, due to PayPal not being allowed in the country. So one of the things I immediately wanted to do was, because I wanted to help as best as I could. So one of the things I immediately did was, and I worked with a bunch of other Twitch streamers to be able to do this. We got a payment processor, not a payment processor, but like a charity pool, basically, called that engages in this kind of thing, that opened up a round of communications with the Turkish charity Ahbab specifically.
That's very good.
And we're expediting funds over there as quickly as possible. We've almost reached 800,000 at this point. We're about to reach $800,000, and we're working with Soft Giving to do that. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any scientific perspective that you want to add on to this conversation, it could be helpful, because there's probably still a lot of people who are confused.
So for your audience, I don't know how much they follow the geologists and seismologists and stuff like that, but to understand the severity of the situation. So just as a little recap, Turkey is situated on a geographic location called Anatolia. And this geographic location, you know, part in Europe, but the part that's in Asia is called Anatolia. And then this landmass is being squeezed by two tectonic plates. So we feel that our ground is currently just, you know, one piece, but that's completely wrong. There are 7, 8, 9, 10 big tectonic plates, and these plates have microplates among them that shift and move due to the magma at the bottom of them rotating slowly. So it's slowly pushing it away. So your audience in the US would know this very well because of the San Andreas fault line in California. We have a very similar fault line here in Turkey. So as you can see in this image over here, so this top one is called the North Anatolian fault line. And the other one that goes from eastern Turkey towards Syria, towards Cyprus, is called East Anatolian fault line. So what happens is, as you can see, the Arabian plate from southeast Turkey is pushing Anatolian plate upwards towards the north, and then Anatolian plate is squeezed in between the Eurasian plate that's towards the north of Turkey. So what happens is, it's literally like squeezing a watermelon seed with your two fingers. As it happens, the watermelon seeds just literally shoots off towards the west. And that's what we're seeing towards the Hellenic arc, towards Greece. Actually, the western part of Turkey is sinking in slowly. So this is actually, I mean, if you think about it, it's the entire crust of the planet is moving. And as as it moves, these fault lines, these faults that that's called faults, are literally junctions between these plates. And don't think this as like a smooth surface. It has big ass rocks, and these big ass rocks cling on to one another over hundreds of miles, and they want to move, they can't move, and it breaks. And once it breaks, it releases so much energy that's equivalent to like 350 SAR bombs. That's the thermonuclear bomb, that the biggest thermonuclear bomb that's ever been detonated. Thousands of them going off at once. It's equivalent to that. And that's what happened. So the thing is, the problem here is, this has been known. These fault lines haven't been drawn in the like after this earthquake. These fault lines generate so many big earthquakes. They have some sort of statistical, repeat patterns. Sometimes it acts in predictive manners. For example, the North Anatolian fault line, which Istanbul resides on, and has been the biggest concern, has been acting in a very predictable manner in the past 100 or 150 years, from east of the fault line towards the west of the fault line. As the tectonic plates shift, it releases stress onto the next fault segment. And then that segment starts building up pressure, and eventually those rocks give, and literally the plate moves like, I don't know, 6 feet, 7 feet in 30 seconds, 40 seconds. In the last earthquake's case, in 90 seconds, it moved about 9 feet. So it's an immense amount of mass moving. So it's been kind of predictive. Now, this East Anatolian fault, it has a periodicity of about 400 years for earthquakes this big, which unsurprisingly, the last 7+ earthquake that happened on this fault line is thought to have happened like about 400 years ago. So there has been smaller earthquakes, but the crazy thing about the situation currently is that, one, it has been known, this has been coming. And professors have been warning about this. They are saying we cried after seeing that it happened finally. And they're so helpless. Just imagine, like, it's, you know how they say every Hollywood science fiction movie starts with someone not listening to what professors say. It's literally that situation. And the second thing is, the fault that broke in this case is in what's called a triple junction. So there are 3 plates touching one another. What happened is, one of those plates eventually gave way, and it shifted, and it gave a 7.8 magnitude earthquake while it was shifting, and it caused the top one to shift with itself after 9 hours. Just for us, it's like a long time, but geologically speaking, 9 hours, 400 years, these are like seconds. And when it shifted the second time, it caused a secondary earthquake that's 7.6 magnitude. And these two combined with aftershocks that's about 6.6, 6.7, the buildings there haven't been up to code. They haven't been checked. These big residences, just to squeeze more money out, the entrances, the columns at the entrances are cut so that they can be converted into Migroses. So, like, Turkish audience would know, like Walmarts. I mean, mini Walmarts, not even Walmart. So it's like
Yeah.
street corner markets basically in Turkey. What happens is, when you want to build that big area, you cut the column so it becomes weaker, and those who have those collapsed. So all of this could easily be foreseen, and it had been foreseen, and nothing has been done. So my question is for people to think, what did we expect? What was to be expected? Mother Nature be nice to us? Just say, okay, we'll be fine this time. So that's the severity of the situation. 5 million, a population of 5 million has been impacted by this earthquake. 10 cities. The death count is close to 6,000 now. It's estimated to go over 100,000 possibly, because if you multiply the number of buildings that collapsed, that's verified to have collapsed, and then multiply it with the number of apartments in it. So an average household size, and how many people have been saved. So it's a very, very severe situation that has happened. And of course, we keep talking about Turkey, but northern Syria has also been impacted too. So I can't even imagine their situation because of the political situation.
Yeah, they
over
also
there.
have sanctions that render aid impossible for the most part.
I mean,
Questions I have for you guys. I mean, I don't know how much you guys can talk about the political situation in Turkey. I don't know what your perspective is on the matter, but there are a couple things that I have heard, a couple things that I've read about, for example, the earthquake tax, deprem vergisi, right? Like I was in Istanbul in '99. My family moved to Ankara shortly after that. And I grew up in Istanbul and Ankara. And from what I understand, one of the things that the government started collecting was this earthquake tax since 2000 all the way into 2023 to the tune of 800 trillion. So what, 800 billion liras. And when asked time and time
trillion
again,
liras at the time, but then
Yeah,
Including
liras have been removed. I mean, immense amounts of money, unimaginable amounts of money. Yeah.
Yeah, and when asked where that money had gone to, I believe they said we built roads, which we saw the condition of the roads in that earthquake. So I don't know if those were the specific roads that they built, but it didn't seem like they were earthquake proof. I don't even know how much you can earthquake proof roads to begin with, but on top of that, it was supposed to, I assume, go towards building apartment complexes and ensuring that there was like some kind of regulation surrounding that so that they were up to earthquake code. And it does seem as though the government did not adequately use those resources. And then also on top of that, gave favorable contracts to friends of local municipalities, friends of the Erdogan regime, that would then build these buildings that were not up to code, knowing full well that the government was not going to come and check them regardless. So it seems like, it seems like they have a hand in this as well.
If I may interject. So we also have lots of opinions on that, and we're also humans. But for this live streams, we are all science communicators and scientists or science enthusiasts. So maybe to talk about more other aspects of scientific aspects would be better.
Bad.
So if you have questions on that, or your audience have questions with that, we would be happy.
Okay.
Otherwise, in a different live stream, we would be happy to discuss those matters.
No,
of
I
course.
understand. Okay.
But this started with something else. Yeah.
I think
But
many
that-
times repeated
that-
that they should listen to scientists.
Yeah, we
many
can
times
say that, of
repeated
course.
many
Yeah.
times. Everyone,
Well-
all the politicians should listen to scientists.
Yeah.
This is the fact of the world. They don't listen, right?
But the audience the audience that's watching us right now understands the situation by just saying that much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Hasan?
I understand their concept.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a question I get regularly, and it's one that I have as well. If there were comparable building codes to that of Japan, for example, what kind of... I mean, obviously, you can't stop earthquakes, right? Like, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
we're on a fault line. We already know that. But if there were better building codes, is there a way to, soften the impact of this calamity?
Yes, definitely. Unless someone else wants to share any perspective.
Because people say that this earthquake is devastating because it went on for the first one went on for approximately 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, 90 seconds or so. Mhm.
Yeah, 90 seconds, which is,
and it depends on where you were at. You might have felt it for 2 minutes very easily, but
it went on for 90 seconds. Its depth was also, it was shallow. It was closer to the ground, from what I understand. Like the major impact happened
6 miles, 7 miles. Yeah, very close to surface,
in comparison to other earthquakes that often happen at way lower depths, or happen, for example, like in the case of Japan, it happens in the water. It happens inside of the it happens under the sea. So like obviously that factors into this, right? Like not every earthquake is the same.
Yes, and
other than
Hasan abi,
the
do you see
Richter
that
scale.
newspaper? Do you see that newspaper? Nothing changed in
It's a little
Turkey.
blurry. It says son posta felaketin büyümesinde hileli
Just
inşaat
you can
sebep oldu.
translate.
Hileli
Nothing
inşaat.
changed in Turkey.
This is
1940.
from
Nothing
1939. I'm
Oh, this is the
guessing.
1939 earthquake, right?
One of the
Yeah.
biggest
Yeah, I
one.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for my American audience, the newspaper from 1939 reads in bold. The reason why the calamity grew to the size it did was because the architects and building developers did not. They basically robbed the people that were living inside of those buildings. They took they stole from the resources.
Do you see
Right?
the dead
That's what
body
they're
over
saying.
there? And do you see the
Yeah.
woman who is hugging to president of that time? Despite,
So
nothing changed.
So the biggest problem in terms of like political science here is that the not following scientific guidelines to the letter. So trying to cut corners. This is a disease that we have. I mean, the entire world has it. We want to cut corners.
capitalism.
We want to get So we want to make for us the measure of success is the money you make, and as long as you do that, the easiest way to make money is to cut costs. So, but the problem is it directly clashes with the literal science of optimization, where you have to accept certain costs, even if it eats away from your profits. So that's literally engineering. I mean, we think engineering about like, this physics and stuff like that, but it's literally cost optimization. There's a budget for this project. So how well can we build this building with the given budget, period? And we literally, they taught us one of the biggest lessons in engineering, like class topics, is the safety factor. So how much more safety factor you're going to add on top of what's needed bare minimum, right? Think about a bridge. You can calculate it and know that after 1,000 cars passing at the same time, it will collapse. Or at a wind that's 80 miles per hour, it will collapse. So if we build it at the bare minimum, that's going to happen. So, and that's what's asked from us. But you know what? We should have a safety factor of 1.5. So instead of 80 miles per hour, we should let it stand. So we should add more resources to make it stand at 120 miles per hour. What happens if 1,200 cars pass at the same time? So this is safety factor, and you can minimize it to the point where it is bare minimum. So this is one big thing that people don't understand, that when you don't follow science, this is what happens in practical life. Science isn't about I throw a ball, it goes this far and falls in 3 seconds. That's what we are taught in high school, so that when it's time, if you get the correct education, you can apply those principles to figure out how much safety factor you should add, how can you optimize, how can you make it better for the amount of budget you have. So if the buildings were up to code, if we were following scientific guidelines, what would happen is, yes, you can't prevent earthquakes, and yes, you can't predict earthquakes to the date, to the size, magnitude. But when it happens, the damage you're gonna get, and this is the difference between magnitude and shiddet, the intensity. So that's commonly confused too. So when that energy is released, so the magnitude is determined, the intensity of vibrations that causes your buildings to collapse, your building can withstand that longer and longer and longer. So what does that do? It gives you time to leave the building, right? So when we think about Japan, we tend to think about Tokyo, big ass buildings, skyscrapers. Of course, you have to adapt it to that type of situation, and they do. That's why it can withstand like 8, 9 earthquakes. What happens? The buildings literally slides right to left as the earthquake happens. Doesn't vibrate. It just moves, rolls with the earthquake. But see, not all Japan is filled with skyscrapers. And we saw this in Fukushima. So when that earthquake happened, thousands of buildings collapsed, but only a few people died. So the problem here is not just the building collapsing, it's how it collapses, when it collapses. And when you add these safety factors to it, instead of collapsing in the 20th second, it can collapse on the 40th second, or maybe after an aftershock, so you can leave the building. Or when it collapses properly. You know, it can just fall down like this, or it can roll and crumble into pieces, right? There are different ways of failure, fracture. So these are all things that we needed to consider, and we didn't. So it begs the question: what did we expect? What was going to happen? So yeah, that's what I can add. That's my 2 cents in the topic.
Okay, that was very
So
insightful.
why we are here? Just we want to explain what is the reason all the science communicator, mostly we broadcasting in Turkish. So why we are here? This is the main goal. Maybe Cevdet, you can explain whatever.
Yeah.
So please explain what we are doing here, why we try to reach out to you, what is the reason. And because yesterday I watched your broadcasting and you were gathering big amount of donation, then I really said myself, okay, I don't have too much followers like you, but why not? Why we can come together and we can do something and we can explain people what's going on. And scientific way, we took some scientists from different areas. So Cevdet can explain you what is our goal. Yes, Cevdet.
Yeah.
What's your goal, Cevdet?
So this live stream is about, like, it's for 7 hours now. It's about all the people we know who are engaging science communication, outreach, popular science in Turkey, or some scientists also. They are joining, some of them leaving. So it's like a long live stream to gather donation for helping Turkey, both from outside but also from within. So in Turkish liras, but also in euros and dollars, just like you did. And but also to inform people about the consequences, about what we can do in a nice way to inform them, not like in a lecturing way, but also to inform them. So, for example, we talked about the first aid. We talked about the psychological reasons behind not preparedness, or how to do psychological first aid. We talked about some conspiracy theories, like why they are wrong, like we falsified them, debunked them.
What are some of the conspiracy theories that have been going around?
Yeah,
my God. Did you hear about HARP project? HARP project, the Americans.
You did it, Hasan. You did it.
You guys did it.
It's you.
American, don't
America
trigger the earthquake in my country. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen any of the conspiracy theories, because like
they believe in that. Hasan, in Turkey they believe in that. Someone push the button, you know, and they are triggering. Sorry for my fucking English. Earthquake in Turkey. And
I think if
project name is a HARP.
I think if America had the earthquake button, they would probably do it in China like all the time.
Yeah.
They'd be like nonstop pressing it in China instead of Turkey, which is otherwise a NATO ally, and like, you know.
Have you heard of HARP? Have you ever talked about that on your lives?
I don't know what do you mean HARP? What is HARP?
So HAARP. Okay, so this
high
is
frequency active auroral research program.
Yeah,
sounds cool, isn't it? So this was a military project at the time, and then it's been given to, after it was pretty much defunct. It was given to this university of something, I can't remember which university. So it's just like a research lab, but it was studying the ionosphere of the Earth and trying to emit radiations through that, and you know. During war, you know, as an effort to figure out how we can communicate more efficiently, or how the US can communicate more efficiently. So I don't know how this thing became a conspiracy theory about earthquakes, but basically what the people believe is
this is actually beloved by conspiracy theorists in America, even some that I love personally, like Jesse Ventura and shit. Yeah. Like they think it's a weather controlling, right?
Yeah. So see, in the US, it's weather control. In Turkey, it's earthquake. So the same device is the topic of two different kinds of conspiracy theories, because I guess it doesn't make sense in the US yet to say the US caused its own earthquake, right? So it doesn't make much sense. So it doesn't but for whatever reason, to control people, they change the weather and stuff like that. So it makes kind of sense. So you can sell that lie. But in Turkey, it's believed that it's used to trigger earthquakes, which
Well,
is impossible.
do the Turkish people think like maybe if America had the capacity to control the weather, perhaps they would stop like all the weather calamities that our crippling infrastructure can't handle here? I mean, the Texas power grid was eviscerated last winter.
I mean, you can't reason with conspiracy theories, man. It's just ridiculous. But the bottom line is, it's just an excuse. So I'm more interested in the psychology of it too. So why would someone believe in that? What does it give you? What it gives you is an explanation of why this happened, this calamity, tens of thousands of people dying. Why? Oh, it's because of the Western powers. They pressed a button because they don't want us to be successful. So once you explain that in your mind, you're done. Right? You don't have to seek any other explanation, and you don't have to do anything. That's the most important thing. You're done. You don't have to do anything further, because, I mean, what will you do? Will you attack the U.S.? No. So, okay, I guess we'll have to solve this diplomatic. I mean, I don't know why people go with this, but that's one thing. And another thing is, of course, earthquake prediction. So geologists have tried this for over 40 years.
There was a guy.
Now.
There was a guy that everyone was pointing to that had hundreds of thousands.
There's always a guy. There's always this one guy that appears that no one knows for years, and boom, he has hundreds of thousands of followers. I bet they are the same people, just opening up different accounts. But anyway, the bottom line is, you can't predict an earthquake, and his predictions also was very vague. And professors were already saying this. This is not. It's nothing new.
For years,
we knew this. We knew this. And again, just like HARP, what did you do? What did you do after getting that information, which no one did after the earthquake? So what's the point of it in the first place? What did you do with that information? Did you move the people out? Did you empty the city? No. So I can't understand why people are disinterested in fantasies, even at the face of such a big calamity.
I can. I mean, I covered, this is my forte, but I cover this all the time. People believe in conspiracies because it's easier to consume open and shut case, rather than a calamities happening as a consequence of complex systems that we have no power over. You already mentioned it. There's a way to dampen the impact of an earthquake by building buildings up the code, but that costs money, and people would rather make more money. And you, as the average person who's like renting or buying, an apartment building for your mom, you have no say over that. You are expected to believe that those buildings are actually up the code. Because why the fuck would you not? Why you're not thinking that those guys are lying to you? Well, you're realizing that those guys definitely lied to you now. But ultimately, people want a story that they can wrap their minds around, and they can't think that it's like the complexities of the system that we exist under that is responsible for all the
what I
and
mean by
that they feel.
What I mean by I don't understand is, how can they not form this very straightforward, simple logic and realize that it's bad thinking? But this is another topic, of course.
Charo, when you were away, we actually talked about some research, like why people don't make preparedness, and then probably it's the same globally. Like biggest reason is fatalism. So like they believe if it happens, and I'll die. If it like, if for some reason, if it happens, we won't survive anyway. So why prepare? That's one.
Yeah, Hasan, did you cover that guy just going with this, who said even if they were in Mars, they would die? Someone from, I don't even know who this wonderful person is, but he said this is just fate, and even if they were so those who died were the ones who were going to die anyway, and even if they were in Mars, they would die.
Yeah, I mean, we do
Classic
this in America
example.
too. I'm telling you, it's the same shit.
Yeah.
It's like conservatives that say like, "Oh, God is punishing this area for like gay people existing or whatever," and it's just, yeah, it
So
creates a
fatalism,
comfortable,
for
it
sure.
creates a comfortable fatalistic narrative that like things are completely outside of your control, which they are, because they're not
Yeah,
wrong.
a lot of yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they would rather tell themselves and everyone around them a story that makes sense to them, that's like easier to consume than, you know, than like the actual truth of the matter, which would then force you to take a cold hard look at your government and what steps they haven't taken, what steps they should take. Then you have to think about the processes of like what mechanism of pushback do you even have towards that government to enforce them, to make sure that they do the right things. Will they actually do the right things? Rebuild confidence in the government too. All of that is really, really complicated and really convoluted and difficult to achieve. So instead of that, you just tell yourself a story, and that story is like open and shut.
And action is much harder than explaining it away. And we always stop at explaining it away and never take action.
That's true for
Sorry,
us.
Jed,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No
Go ahead,
worries,
Jed.
no worries. That's true for us. So a couple of factors that play a role, as Hasan said, like it's also true in US. I think it's true universally. That's fatalism, rather a wrong dosage of fatalism. Of course, not everything is under control, but some of the things are under our control. That's one. The other thing is the self-efficacy. They don't think the things that they will do, like being prepared, mitigation, other stuff, that they will help. So they don't think they can do it. The other thing, the third one, is also the resources. Either they don't have time, either they don't have money, or they don't have knowledge. So those are the big factors that we see as obstacles in front of the preparedness. I think that's all over the world. And then that's, if we know those factors, we can also do something about them. So that's where it starts, I think. Yeah.
Çok hızlı chat'e bir şey demem lazım. Sorry for talking in Turkish. I think I'm better in Turkish. Arkadaşlar 5 saat uyudum. 7 saattir yayındayım. İngilizce falan filan takılmayın bunlara. Gerçekten kötüyüm. Özür diliyorum. Yabancıların yaptığı yoruma bu kadar takılmayın. Amacımız Hasan abinin chat'inden insanları çekip donation yapabilmek. YouTube'da bunu açtık Hasan şu anda. Resmi olarak YouTube'un da verdiği bir izin bu. Denetleme mekanizması da var. Senden ricam bizim kanalımızı gösterip şu an yayını oraya Amerikalılar gidebilir ve bağışta bulunabilir.
That's a fundraiser for Turkish philanthropy.
Nerede kanalınızın adı ne? YouTube'da?
Gelecek Bilim'de. So there's a button also on the mobile.
My son interjected a moment ago. I saw the comments about that.
Yeah, they're conducting a fundraiser on YouTube as well. If you guys would like to donate to their fundraiser as well, you can do that on YouTube. Currently, they have raised $23,000 so far, and but on that note, if you guys have any, I mean, I can answer any questions that you might have, or I don't know, anything that you guys want to say to my audience, but I'm going to go back to doing real-time coverage in a bit. So
sure.
I only want to apologize from your audience, Hasanabi. We are alive for 7 hours. I only slept 5 hours. I'm really sorry for my fucking English. I'm aware of everything.
No,
really
you did great.
Really
don't listen to the
I know
haters.
they are kidding with me, but really we are tired. Thank you very much, everyone. We are in terrible situation. Your every single donation is valuable. Please support in an official way to our source. We are not collecting anything for us. Everything is legal and official way. This is very important. We support Ahbab, and there are some coin number. We also share our website. Nothing is coming to us, and we will share everything with transparency. Thank you very much. Sorry for everything, guys.
No problem, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Hasan. Thanks for joining. Bye, man.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
All right. That was good. That was informative. I hope you guys learned something. You know, what I learned especially was the high frequency active auroral research program and how it's definitely the reason why this earthquake happened in Turkey. Okay, all jokes aside, that was informative. I hope you guys actually learned a little bit about earthquakes and about why this earthquake happened and what kind of initiatives, what kind of things the government could have done that could have possibly softened the blow, basically. Çağrıyla teke tek kalın, siyasetin içinden geçin, o da korkmuyor. Yeah. Türkler çok iğrenç ve toksiksiniz amına koyayım. Niye bir şey demiyorlar ya? But you know, obviously not everyone is going to be very open-minded and or not open-minded, but not everyone is going to be openly fucking agitational against the current government, especially if they are either living in Turkey. There are things that they cannot say. So the fact that, like, I saw a bunch of people being like, oh, they're cowards or whatever, you fucking don't understand, okay? You think it's like when a bunch of random people on Twitter yell at you, you think that's like cancel culture. No. Or your freedom of speech is being limited. No, motherfucker, you don't understand. When your entire family is under government scrutiny for things that you've said, that's entirely that is actually a violation of free speech, which Turkey does not have. So calm the fuck down, okay? Chill out. You don't understand it.